Hello and welcome back to another Premier Draft Beer Services training video, where we bring out the best in beer. Today's video will be about swapping vinyl beer lines, so let's get started. Required tools will be your spanner wrench, adjustable pliers, tube cutter, clamp pliers, measuring tape, and a rag for cleanup. Required components will be vinyl beer tubing, stainless steel tailpieces, stainless steel clamps, a beer nut, and a beer nut washer. Our first example will be replacing the vinyl jumper lines of a long draw system. Begin by removing the keg coupler and turn off the gas. Place your bucket underneath the beer fob, loosen and remove the beer nut, and allow beer to empty into your bucket. Do the same with the keg coupler. With your knife, remove any remaining cable ties or tape that were holding the previous beer line together. Remove the beer line and inspect the tail pieces. If they are stainless steel and in good condition, please reuse. These are clearly made of chrome-plated brass and need to be replaced with stainless steel. Now let's take a look at the previous beer line. Notice the deep staining and heavy scale buildup. This is a common cause of rough pouring and off beer flavors in beer. The result is beer waste and lost sales. The Brewers Association recommends vinyl beer lines be changed every 2 years so they do not end up in this condition. Communicating and recommending the service to your account is paramount to ensure they minimize their beer waste and increase their sales. These are the components that will be needed for each end of the beer line. 1 beer nut washer, 1 beer nut, 1 tailpiece, and 1 clamp that match the previous installation's specifications. Next, you'll slide the clamp first, followed by the beer nut, then insert the tailpiece. If additional leverage is needed, use a hard surface to press firmly. Now sliding everything into place, grab your clamp pliers and squeeze firmly until the clamp is in place. Insert your beer nut washer and hand tighten the beer nut to the bottom of the beer fob. Now do the same on the keg coupler. Using your spanner wrench, tighten the beer nut that attaches to the fob and do the same on the keg coupler end. Go ahead and reattach the keg. Now purge the fob, filling it completely. Inspect both new tail pieces for leaks and ensure the proper operation. Clean up your entire workspace, leaving no trace. Inform and educate your account of the work you performed and its importance. Highlight the need of being updated every 2 years and schedule accordingly. In the next video, we will demonstrate swapping a line from a draft tower of a direct draw box. If you're working on a draft tower with multiple products, it's important to remove the handles of the other products as well and detach their kegs. This prevents bumping something and creating a mess. Go ahead and remove the handles. Remove the tower cap and the cap insulation. If you're having difficulty with removal, use your spanner wrench for additional leverage. Be careful not to damage. You may need to soak the tower with a warm rag. Using your spanner wrench or pliers, loosen the tower locking nut and make sure to hold the locking nut washer, and the black flange in place as to not drop them. Those 3 key parts can be seen here. Propping the beer line like seen in the next photo may provide additional working space. Using your hose cutters, cut the beer line from the tower shank, holding those 3 key parts in your other hand. Using your knife, remove any zip ties or tape holding old beer line together. Use your hose cutters and cut the beer line from the keg coupler. Drain beer and begin to pull out the old beer line. Using your clamp pliers, remove the previous clamp and remaining beer hose from the keg coupler. Feed the new beer line top to bottom through the tower. Attach the bottom of the beer line to the keg coupler. If the vinyl is hard or difficult to place on the tailpiece, soften with squeezing with your clamps or running under hot water for a brief moment. Recapping one more time the parts needed: beer nut washer, tailpiece, and clamp for the keg coupler side. You will only need 1 clamp on the tower shank side. Install hardware on keg coupler side. Slide the tower hardware back onto the beer line. First with the tower locking nut, next locking nut washer, and lastly the black plastic flange. Proper order seen here. While holding those 3 components in one hand, feed the beer line through the shank hole in the other. With the beer line pulled through, place a clamp over the beer line and begin to install the shank. Do not forget to continue to hold these 3 components as to not drop them in the tower. Tighten locking nut by hand and finish with your wrench or pliers. Push remaining beer line back down into the tower, into the cooler. Clean the tower cap and the tower before reinstalling the tower cap. Wrap the new line with zip ties or tape. Inspect both new clamps for leaks. Pull beer through and ensure proper operation. Thank you for watching this educational resource, and for additional information, please contact your territory supervisor.